Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome here to race number 30 of Season 4 of the NNSCRA Duracell Cup Series, playoff race number 4, the first race of the round of 12. 4 drivers were eliminated after last week's race at Indianapolis. 12 drivers remain, and of course, it's the same as it was back in the round of 16. You win a race here today at Hillside, Lime Rock next week, or Arizona the following week, you have a guaranteed locked up spot into the Elite 8. And we've got a lot of lithium blue playoff banners up here inside of our top 5, which we'll get to in just a moment. But we are here for the Hillshire Farms 400 at Hillside International. Kind of think an asphalt-covered Dover in a way, because it is in many respects like Dover International. The only difference is these drivers carry a lot more speed. They will actually take it 3 wide and make it work. Think of a mile-long super speedway. That is what Hillside brings to the table, and with that type of racing, that is why it was moved into the playoff slot on the schedule for the last couple of seasons. It's going to be 60 laps of racing here today, so these drivers should not be able to make it on fuel. However, a lot of these drivers took to Hillside the last couple of seasons, so I'm certain they have some kind of a playbook coming into this race. And Dylan Young is going to line up on the pole position. He comes into this race your points leader in the playoffs since he had a win back in the first round. You get 5 bonus points into the following round for every win that you get. He had that win in the very first playoff race at Richmond, and so therefore he has 5 points over the other 11 drivers that moved on. William Brock's going to line up to his outside. Then row 2 is made up of a couple more playoff contenders, the 19 of Carson Gum and the 28 our Daytona 500 winner, T Wright. Jesse Turner's going to line up in the 5th position, and he was one of 4 drivers that was eliminated from the playoffs last week. Also included were N Ormond, Mitchell Collins, and R Brommer, drivers that had a combined 7 wins this season. So playoffs are playing no favorites, and it is going to get tougher and tougher as we get closer to the end of this season. Let's go down trackside. Let's get those most famous words in motorsports. Check in the description below for your starting lineup for today's 60-lap main event.
Drivers, start your engines!
So of the drivers that are remaining in the playoffs, we mentioned Dylan Young, the points leader. 5 points in hand over Adam Garcia, Carson Gum, Jordan Lopez, T Wright, J Millz, K Batson, Cole Deaver, Zach Rogers, C Dollerton, Charles Belding, and Ryan Butcher. The odds right now very much in favor of the blue ovals, as we have only 1 remaining Dodge, 2 remaining Chevys, and 1 remaining Toyota. The other 8 drivers driving Fords. Actually, no, correction, there are 3 Chevrolets. I failed to remember Cole Deaver. So 7 drivers out there with the Ford Mustangs, and so Ford looking like they're in good shape to maybe win this championship, but we'll see. We got to get through Hillside, and the green flag is waving. Let's roll. Already we were looking possibly 3 wide there. Carson Gum tried to the inside of Dylan Young. Jesse Turner tried to take him 3 wide into the corner. It did not work. Now Carson Gum gets kicked up to the outside line. If you didn't tune into our non-charter race earlier on today, inside line is your best friend. That's where you're going to make the forward progress. The outside line doesn't move forward, but it doesn't fall back nearly as much as if you get kicked up to that 3rd groove. You move up to that 3rd groove, you might as well put a parachute on the back of your car, because you are going to the back, and you are going there in a big, big hurry. As Jack Mitchell's going to move to the 2nd position, getting pushed there by Benny Watson. Watson the highest in the points that did not make the playoffs. Jack Mitchell, 3rd highest in points that didn't make the playoffs. And a driver here today is chasing history. That would be Jacob Thibodeaux in the 33, who's won back-to-back races in the last 2 weeks at Charlotte Roval and last week at Indianapolis, looking for his 3rd win in a row. No driver has ever done that in Duracell Cup Series history. We have had drivers go back-to-back, but we have never had a driver be able to go 3 for 3 in 3 straight weeks. R Brommer, who got eliminated from the playoffs last week, trying now to go out there and see if he can at least pick up another victory before season's end. Now it's going to be Matthew Rodriguez to his inside. There's the lone Toyota battling for the championship, Ryan Butcher. Matter of fact, he was the only Toyota to even make the playoffs. And so congratulations to him on advancing into the next round here. It's going to be very difficult when you've got no teammates that are also in the playoffs to be able to lean on. And he almost cut off a fellow Camry right there, as Benny Watson's going to force his way to the inside. Keith Batson, another of the Blue Oval Brigade. Going to move into the second position, so he'll be the highest running playoff contender now. And there's Mitchell Collins in the 22. Young Motorsports had all three of its chartered machines in the playoffs this season. And already they've lost one, as Collins did not advance into the next round. He's got Chris Dollerton right behind him in the 83. Dollerton with his teammate Cody Llamas in tow. Chris Dollerton, of course, started out the season as a non-charter driver. Had to use 5 of his championship provisionals to make races early on in the season. Barely made the required number of starts to be a playoff contender after his win in the charter race all the way back in the second race of the season at Manassas. And talking of former champion, wreck! Ryan Butcher! And he's collected up his teammate Patrick Smith. Matthew Rodriguez is in it as well, and it's going to collect up a number of drivers as Michael Rood is up and over. Phil Parker is involved. I saw another car out of shape back there. I think it was Jacob Thibodeaux. And I think I saw a lot of damage as well on, was that Cole Deaver? I think Deaver got a piece. I think Phil Parker got a piece. Charles Belding might have been involved. That's a playoff driver. And Michael Rood can't get the car refired. It's stuck down there in the transition of the banking and the apron. Oh, look out. Ooh, that was close. Race leaders were coming into view, and Michael Rood hadn't yet teleported to pit road. Now, Dollerton crossed the line as the race leader, but Cody Llamas is actually going to lead them down pit road. So they didn't get themselves lined back up correctly before pit lane was open. I don't know if that's going to issue a penalty for the 84 or not. There's Patrick Smith. There is Ryan Butcher. So both of the Auto Junction Racing Toyota Camrys getting involved in this one. I think they actually were the two that made the first initial contact with each other that led to that wreck, and that's going to turn the race lead over here to Mitchell Collins. So already some pit strategy coming into play here, 10 laps in. Some drivers come in, some drivers not. And I believe I just called Mitchell Collins a playoff contender. That's actually wrong. I forgot that I had mentioned that he was one of the 4 eliminated, as was Nathan Ormond, who runs behind him. Highest running playoff driver, looks like for this restart, will be Jordan Lopez, who will be in 3rd place. Let's drop back and take a look at a replay of what brought out the caution for the first time here today at Hillside. Watch the 77 on the top side here of Patrick Smith. I think something happens with him. Maybe he runs a little too wide off the corner and brushes the wall. Oh, no, he's going to get hooked by his own teammate, Ryan Butcher. Gets sent down into the right side of Keith Batson and then comes back down into the 78. Jesse Turner's going to get a piece of it right there. Oh, and then another piece of contact between those two. Nowhere for Matthew Rodriguez to go as he's trapped on the outside line. Same for Jack Mitchell in the 0-1. And then here's where the issue is. Everybody starts migrating down the track. There's just no room to run. And they're down the apron getting into each other there. That's what kind of led to that stack up on the inside. Ooh, Thibodeaux got swiped from behind. Michael Rood was into the back of Will Goss, who was into the back of his teammate Cole Baker. I think it was Ryan Acosta who helped that 0-0 go upside down. There's Carter Friesen involved. Phil Parker with damage. Cole Deaver. Is he going to get through? He's going to have a little bit of contact initiated there to the right side, but I think he might have been relatively unscathed. Watch for Charles Belding here in the 91. He might have just had to come to a stop to avoid hitting the 0-0, but he might have gotten through this without any damage as well. Fortunate for Michael Rood that car flipped back onto all 4 wheels because, you know, in all rights and purposes, with where it was running on the track there, it probably shouldn't have tipped back over. But good thing that it did. Let's actually look at another angle of this. Watch up at the top of your screen. That's where you're going to see the contact between the two teammates going into turn 3. And just watch how all these people here, they know that Hillside's a self-cleaning racetrack, so they're going as low as they possibly can. You see further up there, that was Dylan Poteet down on the apron. Everybody's trying to run the apron to get through, and oh, right there, just gets hooked in the right rear quarter panel, does Michael Rood. Jacob Thibodeaux actually got spun off of the left rear of his teammate William Brock, but I don't think anybody hit him. I think the 33 is going to be okay. Yeah, just that little bit of contact into the right rear quarter panel is what sends the 00 up the track, and then that transition, like I said, is huge between the banking of 3 and 4 and the apron, and with all that top weight, all that momentum, it just flips the DeWalt Toyota upside down. So Michael Rood had to teleport to pit road. A very damaged 77 of Patrick Smith was on pit lane. We might have a couple of drivers out of this race already. I'll tell you what, Hillside, they don't wreck a lot, but when they do wreck, it usually is a big one, and that was the case here for our first caution of the day. Lights are out atop the pace car. We're going back green, and nobody's out of the race. Patrick Smith and Michael Rood, they will continue on, but they did lose a lap under pacing while getting damage repair done to their respective Camrys. And they will be starting on the inside line, so this could be a bit of a stack up here when we go back green. Mitchell Collins, the leader. Nathan Ormond, second. Jordan Lopez, Benny Watson, and Laura Chung already up to fifth, our non-charter race winner. Keith Batson, Zach Rogers, Trey Wright, RJ Bishop, and Jose Millz are going to complete the top 10. Of the drivers that came to pit lane, Cody Llamas will restart all the way back in 29th position. So 28 drivers stayed out here under this caution, and the green flag is back in the air on lap 14. Look at Michael Rood, he just caught up. He might be able to get his lap back here from Mitchell Collins. Had a lot of momentum. He kind of Kyle Bushed the start, but he had to catch up to get to his spot. But there you see that damage is really affecting him, especially going into the corner, so he's going to fall lap down again. Nathan Ormond goes around the outside of the lap cars. He'll move to second, and they're still stacked up from third place on back. Watson's going to take P3 as Jordan Lopez trying to find a way around these slower cars. Now they're going to move up and block Zach Rogers and Dylan Young, a couple of playoff drivers. They got to move up to that third groove, do the doubles here in the 77. That would be the driver courtesy thing to do, but they're not doing it yet. As farm driver, if you will, Laura Chung goes underneath charter machine Jordan Lopez. Of course, Blue Oval Automotive driver Jose Millz owns the 27 and the 07 in the non-charter series. So unofficial teammates there, I guess you could say, are the 27 and the 38. As the battle for the lead is on, Nathan Ormond has taken the spot from Mitchell Collins. Collins wants it back. Dodge, Ford, Toyota, your top three right now. And currently, no Chevrolet inside of the top 10. Let's drop back here, see about drivers making their way by those slower machines. We're 3 wide. Woo! Contact! Right front of Cole Deaver into the left rear, almost left rear tire of Jordan Lopez. And it looks like drivers now are doing a pretty good job of making their way through those damaged cars. Zach Rogers and Dylan Young finally getting by, but they lost a ton of spots. It just dropped Dylan Young back to 38th and Zach Rogers back to 39th. And while it's a good news that they got past that traffic, if we stay green, race leaders are going to catch those guys probably sooner than you think, and we're just going to be right back at it again with who's able to make their way through the traffic the best. But much like a super speedway, a lot of the guys have caught back up to the lead group. Nathan Ormond now looks back, and there's Daytona 500 winner Trey Wright. Another slow car there. That's Jack Mitchell. That car doesn't sound right. I think he's down a cylinder. That's a tough break there for the Adrenaline Motorsports entry, as he's going to fall a lap down, and now he starts holding up some of these drivers. Laura Chung, Benny Watson, Mitchell Collins all trapped behind, along with Cole Deaver. J Qualls looking to get underneath 3-time winner Adam Garcia. That would be for 5th place. And R Brommer looks to go to the point. Bulldog Motorsports, 2 wins this season, 1 with Zach Rogers and 1 with R Brommer. Brommer no longer battling for the championship, and Yeah, while that's obviously something that none of the 4 drivers that got eliminated wanted to have happen, it does take a little bit of pressure off of them because now they don't have to think about points. They can just go out there now with no championship on the line, be as aggressive as they want, and try to finish out the season with as many trips to victory lane as they possibly can get. There's Nathan Ormond, 2-time winner. He'd look to tie Adam Garcia with most wins on the season with 3. Speaking of Garcia, he just moved into 3rd place. And speaking of 3, how about Jacob Thibodeaux looking to go 3 in a row? He's now up to the 4th position. Chris Dollerton going to force his way to the inside, though, looking for 4th place. A lot of blue ovals behind him there, too, in the form of Jordan Lopez and T Wright. And Thibodeaux's going the wrong way. And I'm hearing those idling engines up ahead. There's Michael Rude. Look out! They've caught the slow traffic again. How are they going to make their way around him? Brommer goes low. Ormond picked the wrong line. Dollerton's going to move to 2nd. They're 3 wide back here. Jordan Lopez trapped in the middle. Now where do you go? Lopez trying to get to the inside of Michael Rude. He'll succeed in doing so. And now Nathan Ormond and Adam Garcia are trapped on the top side. Now Ormond almost cut off RJ Bishop. That was close. It's all about risk and reward. Look at Cody Llamas. He was the first one to pit road under that yellow, and he's worked his way now up to 7th place. He's going to lose a couple of spots. He gets kicked up to the outside line, courtesy of Dylan Poteet. But nice drive through the field for him. Actually, Chris Dollerton had also pitted with him. I'd forgotten about that, and he's already moved his way up to the race lead. Not for long, James Qualls going to take a turn out in front in the Joanna Atwood Motorsports. Number 54, Keith Batson, going to follow him in 2nd. And Matt Haas has now moved up to 3rd. Dylan Poteet, non-charter driver, now up to 4th, looking for his 2nd charter win on the season. Keith Batson hasn't won since all the way back at the Springfield Mile, the dirt-covered mile track. But woo, Patrick Smith, a little bit of a moving chicane there, so he almost came down in front of new race leader Matt Haas. Remember Mitchell Collins was trapped up on the top side earlier on in that restart? Yep, he's worked his way back up to the front. He's now going to take the race lead from Dylan Poteet. Cole Deaver, who had also been trapped behind a slow machine, he's now worked his way back up into the top 5. So, I said this back in the non-charter race, and it's so true here. A lot of moving pieces, and nobody is out of it until the checkered flag. There is so much opportunity for making a comeback. I can't help but think back to last season. Carter Friesen won a race in the round of 16, locked himself in the round of 12. Won a race in the round of 12, locked himself in the round of 8. Well, the only driver that had a playoff blue banner last round of the playoffs that went to victory lane was Dylan Young, and that was in the first race at Richmond. Well, look at there. That Dr. Pepper Deuce is now 3rd on the inside line behind teammate RJ Bishop. Could he be looking to do a little bit of deja vu here in round 2 of the playoffs as Cole Deaver got trapped behind the off-the-pace Jack Mitchell machine? Trying to diagnose, what would have caused the loss of power for the 0-1. It sounds, like I said, like he's down a cylinder. He did get a little bit of contact from that wreck, but Matthew Rodriguez got even more contact than Mitchell did, and Rodriguez is not that far off the pace, so I don't know if it was a case of maybe downshifting to try and avoid the wreck and blowing a gear or something for the 0-1, but it's obviously not been a good end result for him. How about DCW Racing working their way up to the front? Will Goss, non-charter driver, and team owner Cole Baker moving into 4th and 5th. V Almariego now up to 6th, and he's bringing playoff contender Carson Gum in the 19 along with him. Carson Gum is trying to pull off a Matt Crafton this year, where he wins the championship but doesn't win a race. Now, I'm not saying that Carson doesn't want to win, but I think he would take no wins on the season to hoist a championship trophy. He's the only driver of the 16 that even made it into the playoffs that did not have a win. He pointed his way into the playoffs, being the highest in the standings without a win. He still sits without a win out of the remaining 12, but making a clear case for himself right now to be able to try and advance. Look at that! Will Goss said, "No, Dylan Young, you're not coming down in front of me," and he pinned the 2 behind the slower machine of Michael Rude. That's what you're able to do when you don't have the pressure of a championship on your mind. Will Goss trying to become the second non-charter driver out of DCW to win. His teammate Tristan Allen did it back at Bristol Dirt. And you saw the big run that Cole Baker and Carson Gum had there. Just the draft is so huge here at Hillside. That's why it's so much fun to come here. And with so much moving and shaking, that's why it's a playoff race as well. Carson Gum taking a look there on Will Goss. They're going to catch up to, is that the 78, I believe, of Ryan Butcher. Butcher on the tail end of the lead lap, but that's not going to last for very long. Playoff contender going to lap playoff contender. As Carson Gum goes on by, Ryan Brommer as well. Will Goss going to get trapped up there behind fellow Camry, as is Cole Baker. I think Goss, I thought he was going to go to the inside, but Adam Garcia is there. Johnny Gardner makes his first appearance up inside the top 10 in that Hunt Brothers Dodge. Jessica Shelton up there as well. Remember, she had those back-to-back second-place finishes at Richmond and Charlotte Roval 2 and 3 weeks ago, respectively. Still looking for her first win on the season. I remember we had that caution come out back around, what was it, lap 10? And there was a question of whether these guys could go the entire 60 laps on fuel. A number of drivers came down pit road under that caution, but many drivers did not. We are now at less than 20 laps to go. Will we see green flag pit stops in the closing stages of this race? Can these guys make it on what's in the tank? Did they save enough maybe under pacing? Were they that close? Laura Chung was the winner of the non-charter race earlier on today. And if they made no changes on that car, if she gets out to the race lead, nobody's going to be able to get by her. Because that's what happened in the non-charter race. She got out in clean air, had a couple of challenges from Dylan Poteet, but nobody was able to take the lead. And here we go. Pit road is going to be a factor. Carson Gum is in. Trey Wright's going to follow him. I think that was Johnny Gardner. Will Goss also coming to pit road. Other drivers have already made their way onto pit lane. So it will be green flag pit stops to maybe settle it out here. 3 wide up there. Oh, look out. Careful. Guys have to watch out getting onto pit road. Can't run each other over. You got to have that hand waving out the window saying, "I'm coming, I'm coming, I'm coming." Phil Parker coming back into the track. That's going to be sketchy too, with drivers merging back onto the racing surface. I don't even know who the race leader is right now. I think it would have been Adam Garcia, but he's coming to pit lane. So now it's going to be Johnny Gardner, the race leader. And I've got my fingers crossed. I've got my toes crossed. I want these guys to make this green flag pit stop cycle all the way through. I don't want to see a caution. I want to see who's got the best execution on pit lane to be able to win this race, because we ended up having pit strategy ruined at Richmond. We had pit strategy ruined at Charlotte Roval. Let's not have that happen here at Hillside. How much longer is Johnny Gardner going to be able to stay out for is the question, because remember, he was of the group that pitted 10 laps into this race, as was Dylan Poteet, as was Cody Llamas. So with everybody, for the most part, pitting there with, 14 to go? These guys should still be about 4 laps short. Ooh, who would be willing to stretch it? Could they have saved enough here? The strategy call might have taken place all the way back on lap 10, as Dylan Poteet's going to move by for the top position. Of course, Dylan Poteet's going to be back in a full-time capacity in the Duracell Cup Series Season 5, driving one of the entries for Pigeon Racing, sharing that ride with Seth Cole and James Shelley. And he'd love to head into that season as a 2-time winner. One of the heats back in the Chili Bowl. Matt Haas has been able to use the lap machine of Phil Parker to draft his way up to these top 2. And Matthew Rodriguez in the 57's up here with Chris Dollerton. Remember, he had that damage. You could see the front end damage that he had from that wreck back on lap 10. But he's still competitive. Slow car of Michael Rude holds up the top 3. That's going to help Chris Dollerton catch up to this lead pack. Right now, Charles Belding, I believe, is the highest running driver 1 lap down. And he is currently scored in... Actually, no, he's in 39th. Just past Phil Parker for 38th. I think he's 2 laps down. Not sure what happened with the 91 on pit road. But whatever it wasn't good. Projected, these drivers here should have to pit in the next 2 to 3 laps. They cannot make it on fuel according to what we have just seen with when those other drivers ducked onto pit lane, but someone might be saving. Someone might be willing to risk it. And if these drivers pit, who of the drivers that have already been to pit road is the highest running? That's going to be the interesting question as well. I believe it was Carson Gum was the race leader when he hit pit road. Let's see who the highest running driver 1 lap down right now is. It would be Jessica Shelton and Jordan Lopez right now, battling for the potential race lead if the other drivers can't make it on fuel. Lopez now going to the point. You just saw Matthew Rodriguez on pit lane. Cody Lamas just left pit road. Here comes Dylan Poteet and Johnny Gardner. Dollerton is in. Matt Haas is in. So I think that's going to turn the race lead over to the 38. Or the 22. Or the 02. This is your lead pack right now, I do believe. Cody Lamas was able to merge with this group. Look out! Friesen, Brock, and Rodriguez all merging back onto the track. Everyone having to fan out to avoid them as they had a ton of momentum. Ryan Brommer looking to the inside now of Mitchell Collins. Where's Poteet? Oh, Dollerton got out ahead. Haas got out ahead. Poteet and Gardner got out ahead. Oh, Ryan Butcher slowing up Shelton. This is a battle for 5th place now with 4 laps to go. Can Dylan Poteet hang on? Johnny Gardner right there looking for his first win on the season. Matt Haas not too far back looking for his first win on the season. Then you got Chris Dollerton, who's got drafting help with Ryan Brommer and Jordan Lopez, as well as Mitchell Collins. Can they catch up here in time? I think they can. We may have about a 7-car battle for this win here with 3 laps to go next time by. Right now, Chevy, Dodge, Toyota your top 3. The Ford of Chris Dollerton trying to reel them in. Well, actually now it's the Ford of Jordan Lopez. Let's watch the interval at the line this next time by. They lost some ground. Did that second group. Gardner forces his way to the inside of Dylan Poteet. He made a hole, made it stick. Matt Haas jumps to the top side, drafting with Dylan Poteet. And that's going to keep the race lead for the 31. 2 to go here at Hillside. Matt Haas not willing to work with Gardner. Now they remain side by side for second place. Dylan Poteet says, yeah, keep it up. You keep it side by side. I don't have to battle either one of you. He's going to see the white flag this time by. Gardner gets clear of Matt Haas for second place. He's going to have one more shot at him. 4 more corners. Caution's out. Did we take it? We did take the caution. Race is going to end under yellow. Race will end under caution. Dylan Poteet's going to win this race. Johnny Gardner, don't know if he'd have been able to make a charge, but I'm sure he would have loved the opportunity. Look out! That was Cole Deaver, who was stopped down there in the apron over in 3 and 4. Almost hit the race leaders. And Dylan Poteet's going to get his 3rd career Duracell Cup Series victory, his 2nd on the season as a non-charter driver, and it takes place here today at Hillside Raceway. How about that? His 7th start on the season, his 2nd trip to victory lane. And we're going to have to go back and look at a replay of what brought out this caution to end the race, because at least one playoff contender in Cole Deaver was involved. How about that? Dylan Poteet, when he made his first full-time season start back in season 1, went to victory lane only once. Now, as a non-charter driver in Season 4, he's been to victory lane twice in a charter race capacity. Let's go back to 3 and 4, see what brought out this race-ending yellow flag. When you get to the end of a race, desperate times call for desperate measures, but this is 4 wide at Hillside. Deaver, Friesen, Sandfer, and Llamas. This was around the 17th position. The 08 and the 37, they're the ones that are going to make contact, and yep, you know what's going to happen here. Both cars going to come right back up the racetrack. Cole Deaver gets Dylan Young. Dylan Young gets clobbered by Ryan Butcher. Matthew Rodriguez in the 57, he's going to get a piece. Friesen's car flipping and tumbling down the banking. Rodriguez's car is going to go up and over. And I believe if we go back and look at Friesen's ride, I think the car he might have gotten was Levi McIntyre. Here it was again, but this time we're going to focus on the 37. And watch for the 99 to come into view, top of your screen. Levi McIntyre, I think he's the one that got hit. Oh, Vince Almariego got a piece. And then there's the 99 McIntyre, nowhere to go. And boy, just a T-bone shot immediately sends the Wendy Chevrolet tumbling down the banking. And that hit for Vince Almariego was harder than I thought. A lot of damage in the driver's side door for him, and he actually spun it out there as well. I don't know if you saw him barely on the top right of your screen. So about 6, 7 drivers involved in that one, and a couple of them, Ryan Butcher, Dylan Young, and Cole Deaver, all playoff drivers. We'll see how they finished out this race, but they could find themselves in a bit of a dangerous situation heading into Lime Rock next week. But Dylan Poteet picks up the victory, Chevrolet's 3rd straight win on the season, and we are now 3 for 4 in a non-playoff contender winning a playoff race. Let's take a look at the full feature results from today's race here at Hillside now. And Dylan Poteet is official, will get his 2nd win on the season. So he makes history, being the first driver in a non-charter capacity to be a multi-time winner this season. We'd already had non-charter drivers win races this season, with Poteet formerly, as well as Michael Wayne Robinson, Tristan Allen, Dylan Schwallenberg. But we had yet to have a driver as a non-charter machine go to victory lane twice in charter races, and Poteet does that here today. J Gardner gets his best finish of the season in 2nd, Matt Haas in 3rd, Mitchell Collins 4th, Ryan Brommer 5th. Boy, you kind of wonder what if for both of those guys had they not been eliminated from the playoffs last week with top 5 runs. Your highest finishing playoff contender is going to be the defending champion Jordan Lopez in 6th, former champion Chris Dollerton in 7th, Trey Wright there in 8th, and Carson Gum in 10th, behind the non-charter race winner Laura Chung. So good numbers here at Hillside for Chung. So 4 drivers there going to have some pretty good points heading into next week. Quentin Moore, non-charter driver, up there in 11th. William Brock, Zach Rogers, Keith Batson, Charles Sandfer for the top 15. So 6 drivers